Hey everyone, we are out here in beautiful Eastern Oregon with my buddy Alex with Radian Weapons. Now, Alex and I go back a little bit. Him and I worked at the same gun store for a few years that we worked there, so we have a little bit of a relationship going back. Don't worry, Kristen, his wife, purely platonic. We're just bros being bros out here shooting guns.
Sorry, sweetie.
Quiet. And he promised me if I come out here and talk about Radian in a nice way, I get to go pet his dogs later. So do with that information what you will, but today we're going to be doing a video talking about your guys' newest product on the market, which is the Guardian system for optic-equipped pistols. Now, I'm just going to start out and by saying when I first heard about the Guardian, I was a little incredulous towards its utility on a pistol, because the first when it was announced, it was, hey, we're making basically a protective cage system for the Trijicon RMR, and I'm thinking, okay, so it's already the most bomb-proof and reliable and durable optic on the planet. Why would I need to pay an extra chunk of change to put a cage system in front of it? But after actually digging into what kind of features these actually have, these actually make a lot of sense. So why don't you jump into like what the Guardian system is and some of the features that it brings to the table that you might not get from a regular plate system.
Yeah, so our Guardian is a drop-in plate and optic guard. We wanted to make something that adds a lot of strength to the optics that we're currently running. It is currently for the RMR and the Holosun EPS. So we wanted to touch upon those two markets there. We get this question a lot, as Ryan just asked. Why would I need a guard for the most durable optic on the planet? Well, there's a couple reasons why. The optic, even though it is the most durable optic on the planet, it does have some weak spots. A lot of guys who run their stuff very rough, this adds a lot of added protection. One of the weak spots on the RMR that's mounted just to the slide through the MOS plate system, one of the weak spots is the screws.
Right.
When you are racking this weapon off of stuff, it is putting all of that pressure onto the screws that are holding that optic there to the slide. We wanted to design a plate system that had an offset of a few thou that would slam this plate to the rear end of the slide while you were mounting it. So with the optic off of it and you put this pressure on that guard, that is transferring all that energy to the rear end of this cut. So none of the screws are actually taking that force when you are racking it off of stuff. So right there, we put this optic on top of that system, and it's not even taking the pressure of when you are racking it off of stuff. With that, we doubled the amount of thread connection between your optic and your plate. We designed a system inside of here to where there were screws that would come up and there would be a nut that would screw over the top. With that system, we were able to double the amount of threads there. So there's more threads holding that optic system on, so it's stronger than your normal the MOS plate there.
Yeah, because like on the MOS plate, you're getting like a couple threads of engagement because again, it can't go through into the slide. So you're just getting whatever the thickness of that plate is effectively as your thread engagement versus this system, which you guys will see close-ups of.
So right there, specifically, that is one of the biggest reasons of those screws were very important to us. How could we make a system to where we can reinforce the way that that optic is held onto the slide? So that screw system there was very important to us. A few of the other benefits there, of course, is the oversized guard that surrounds your optic. We wanted to make it so if this was to fall, the oversized guard would actually make contact first before your optic. So that adds a lot of added protection there. We have the cuts and the serrations on the front to where you get a little bit of extra bite there when it's racking off of things. So that was important. We didn't want it to slide off of stuff. We really wanted it to eat inside of that and really get a good grip when you're racking that. Another very important benefit for the slide is to be able to manipulate your slide with the Guardian without oiling up the front of your glass.
Yeah, it was a thing that I didn't take into consideration when I got into pistol dots for the first time. I was just doing racks, just flat handing it across the front, and it worked fine. The optics took it fine, but then like I just started seeing more and more smudginess through the lens.
Yep.
I'm pretty lazy when it comes to cleaning, so the less oil I have to remove off the front of my lens, the better.
Yep. It really helps keep a lot of the oils there off the front of that lens.
Yeah, and obviously with something like the EPS where it's enclosed, I still have access to the rear lens if I needed to clean that off. So it's just protecting the side that I shouldn't have to be worrying about in general anyway. Now, you guys also have a system for like water sealing in there as well?
Yep. So we also have a system called True Seal, which there are O-rings that sit in between the screws and the plate when mounting into the system. So we actually get a more watertight system than the current MOS plate, and it actually eliminates that extra plate that sits between your RMR and your mount.
Right, so you're just kind of killing two birds with one stone there.
Exactly.
You're in there, you might as well be doing it. Now, one of the other cool things with these Guardians is your backup sight system. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so these are called our 6 sights, as in got your 6. We wanted to eliminate the rear sight and move that irons forward. And we wanted to integrate that into the Guardian system. So we moved that in front of the optic glass, and it sits there and it's held in by one screw that holds that into place there. We do have our front sight as well that is matched up to pair with that rear one. We are kind of going for a low profile, low catch type system for conceal carry type stuff. So we wanted to make a nice iron sight system to where those are still in there for you. But we also wanted to make them as low as possible.
Right.
So it takes up as little of your window as possible. Sight picture and having that window open is very nice, but having your irons tucked down there just in case was important to us as well.
And that's one benefit with having it being an optic specific style mount is you know exactly what heights you're dealing with, so you know exactly what, like, again, you get people coming into the store all the time. We've got like 4 different heights of backup irons for Glocks, and people always ask, well, which one do I need? Okay, well, what optic are you running? What plate are you running? And it's all this like, you know, tree of things that you have to connect to figure out what. With this, it's like, okay, you're using an RMR, you get the RMR one, you get the sights that are matched up for the RMR. With the EPS, you get the sights that are matched up there. So it kind of takes a lot of the guesswork out. And like you said, they're there. They're definitely still usable if your dot dies or anything like that. But they're still out of the way where my primary sighting system is definitely the dot, and I'm not having this giant obstruction that's making it more difficult for me to use the dot.
Yep.
Now, one of the things that I know a lot of people, well, and actually, before I get to that, let me ask you this. So all the examples that we have out here of the Guardian are blacked out sights. You do have the little serrations in there to reduce glare, but they're blacked out. Now, before I even ask this, I'm just going to say my preference generally with a primary optic run gun is to not have night sights, especially for my night vision guns, because I don't want a bunch of other little glowing, distorted things taking up my sight picture. So I kind of prefer having blacked out, but for people who do want tritium, is that an option or an option you guys are working on in the future?
That is not something that's in the works right now. Definitely down the road, there's always things that could come into play. But as of right now, we're really focusing here on this system.
Correct. And again, that is kind of how I want to run it. Now, you guys are going to sell this obviously in the different optic specific versions, but you're going to have like different almost a la carte options. So what are the options that people can buy these in, and what is the approximate cost associated with those? Yeah,
so right now we are just touching upon the MOS cut for Glock, as well as the Walther PDP second generation cut.
Yep, it's like a PDP Pro, PDP-F, anything like that.
Yep, those are the 2 cuts that we are doing it for, and then the Holosun and the RMR. Of course, that is going to expand over time. We don't exactly know where we're going to go next, but there are a lot of great things on the market that we are looking to touch upon as we continue through this journey.
Right, but so like, and say I like my iron sights, I want that tritium option, you can still use factory iron sights or aftermarket iron sights, so you can buy the plate without the iron sights. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's going to come in a couple different ways there. It will come for $159.95. It will be just the Guardian plate. Now that is the plate as well as the guard. So for $159.99, it will come with that. For $209.95, it will come with everything, with the Guardian, the plate, and your front and rear sights.
Okay. Now, again, as with most things, when we're talking about a company like Radian, a lot of people are going to complain about things like cost. However, I want you to do a little bit of math with me here. So let's assume that you got a brand new Gen 5 Glock 19 or Glock 45 out of the box. And okay, we already can assume that you're gonna just kind of chuck the factory plates that come with it, because we all recognize that they leave a little bit to be desired. So if you're gonna be buying one of the popular aftermarket plate options, we're already talking like 80 bucks for just a plate. That's not doing anything to absorb the recoil like these do by slamming it to the back of the slide. That's not coming with any sights. It's not coming with any protective barrier. So then you start adding a set of aftermarket sights, like a set of blacked out suppressor sights. We're still talking at least 100 bucks for something like that. So we're already at almost $200 with just a plate and backup sights. For just over two, you can have the plate, the Guardian, the actual guard itself, the iron sights, already all there, already gonna made up well. You're not having to return a set of sights because it was actually the wrong height. You're getting it plug and play out of the box. Or again, if you already have sights that you like, you can get it for just right around 160 and still get all the benefits of better thread engagement, so it's less likely to come loose, the water sealing, so you don't have to add that extra plate, and that recoil absorption, because again, we know the RMR's super durable. The EPS carries, as much as I like them, they don't have that proven track record yet, so you're still protecting those. But while these are still durable, the screws are still probably weaker than the optic is. So being able to protect those screws and just reduce the places that things are likely to fail, the better off you are on something you're going to be trusting your life to.
Exactly.
So if people want to stay on top of what options are coming out for the Guardians, where can they look for current information or pricing and availability?
RadianWeapons.com is going to have all of the information and specifics on this Guardian system. It's going to have the price broken down between the guard, the iron sights, stuff like that. So yeah, RadianWeapons.com will have all the information. If there's any questions on top of that, our customer service team can be found at support@RadianWeapons.com. So any questions there, feel free to bring them to us.
Now, real quick question, you may or may not know the answer to this. So obviously this is made for an RMR, has the RMR pattern footprint. If I have a HoloSun 507C, can I drop it onto that plate, or is that not going to fit with the Guardian?
It will fit, it just won't look right.
Yeah, and it's not going to be as protected because the top's not going to match up and whatnot, but it would still fit that footprint.
Correct.
Now, if I can make a plea to the powers that be at Radian, I would love to see an option like this for an offset red dot mount or like a piggyback red dot mount, because the time I'm most likely to just blast my red dot is coming through a doorway, doing my cool guy LARPing, and blast a door frame with my optic and not have the benefit of a spring that allows it to move with it. So if we can also protect the rifle dots, I think that would also be super sweet. Maybe something that's happening in the future, maybe it's something they're already working on. I don't know, I'm not privy to that information, but if I can make a plea like that. So again, I'll have the link down to their social media down in the description. If you guys want to check out their website, I can't link that down below, but I trust all of you competent people to be able to Google Radian Weapons and find their website, or go to radianweapons.com, because Google doesn't like me putting stuff like that in the description. So again, pretty cool option. I think a lot of people, myself included, kind of laughed it off when they first saw it, but actually understanding what it brings to the table, I think it's a pretty compelling option available on the market. Anything else you want to add?
I think we covered it.
Cool. Well, again, check out the links in the description down below. If you guys have experience with it, maybe if you're watching this a year from now, definitely let me know down in the comments. But as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching. So, all right, go ahead and take like a little step back, just a little bit, like a little bit more towards me. There we go.
Do you want me to go in the hole?
No, I don't. I'm
Get a little shorter there.
I'm comfortable in my shortness compared to you, because you're like one of the few people that makes me feel small. All right.